I think Australia, I believe, is world class at governance. I think we have the best governance in the world, and the way the rigor and the process. I'm really in awe of that. So I think we are better than Silicon Valley at that. Um, but where we might have a bit of a blind spot, we and remember, when you're on a venture-backed board, the VCs can be very aggressive. It's not a comfortable environment. It's pretty aggressive. It's pretty challenging. But at the same time, that pressure, it takes pressure to create a diamond. That pressure and that sense of urgency is what drives innovation. So I think our opportunity is to balance our governance excellence with innovation and risk-taking excellence. And what I've seen lately, and Catherine Livingston does this better than anyone I've ever seen. Catherine uses the governance framework to actually take more risk, to actually increase the risk that the company is taking, and David does it too, and others do it, but Catherine's the one I've seen up really close, who's got a real gift for doing this. So I think we're on the right track there. I think the boardroom's on the right track. Where we're probably a bit behind, we don't see many STEM professionals on boards in Australia, and the future is going to be driven by artificial intelligence and quantum computing and space technology. It's going to get harder and harder for directors in the boardroom to make the right call in the heat of the moment if they don't have someone around the table who can actually speak to the technical detail. You can have a consultant come in, you can have the CTO come in, but there's no substitute. Those times where it's just the board and you're around the table and you're really wrestling with a hard issue. It's very powerful when you can cut through. And I guess the example I think of that, like being on the board of Fortescue, this is a big company, almost 20,000 people, ASX 10, and they had the epiphany that when they wanted to be more than a mining company, when they wanted to get into technology and clean energy, they didn't have all the right people around the table, and so they did a long search. And last year, I got tapped after a number of interviews and everything else to join the board. And it's fascinating. It's a big company, but the board, it's still less than 10 people, which I think is a magic number. Like more than 10, it's too many. You can't, and it operates. The board members roll their sleeves up and they really wrestle the issues with management in an incredibly productive way. But again, at the end, there's always a time where the board is sitting around the table, and I can't tell you how many times I've had to lob in and say, well, AI does this, or quantum does that, or there's a material issue there, or whatever it is, and help the board, if nothing else, help them regulate the risk. But often it's help them be willing to take the risk because the upside is strong enough and we can quantify the risk. So I think there's a lot in that, and I think Australian boards are sort of a bit behind. US boards have figured this out. I don't think Australian boards have yet, but that's where we need to head.